A big upgrade indeed. CJ GJ is back. Welcome on in. The Midday Show live today from McGurk's in Horsham, as of course it is Birds Town Hall. You can hear it there. People are excited. Hugh Douglas, good morning. It is Birds Town Hall. How we doing, Hugh?
Good morning, Joe. Good morning, Philadelphia. Hey, listen, make sure y'all pay attention to the, especially when you're in meetings, pay attention to what's being said, because I didn't know I got to be here till after 2 o'clock today. I got a long-ass day.
Yeah, you got to start paying attention.
I got to start paying attention.
You got to read your emails.
Yeah,
well,
got to read those, too.
We'll see when that starts to happen. All right, welcome in, everyone. Today is a great day. One of my favorite days of the year, Birds Town Hall. Hugh, we love being here, and today's an exciting day, and we have such an exciting group of people joining us on our show today.
There's a lot of people here this morning, man. Why the hell y'all up so early?
Because
Seriously.
they're excited.
I just
It's
can't
Eagles
believe
free
this.
agency.
You walk through the door, I'm all groggy, got to wake up early, go get my run in early, and it's like a gang of people here already.
You ran?
I ran this morning.
You ran?
He ran all the way here from Philadelphia. It's amazing.
First of all, wait a minute. I forgot because John's literal. No, I did not run from Philadelphia here. I got up this morning and ran on the treadmill.
How far did you run?
I ran 2 miles. I did 2 miles.
How fast did you run?
I ain't run that fast, John. This is slow. It's like a slow trot.
Okay, how fast
It's like
are
a
we
fox
talking?
trot.
Are we
Probably
talking
about 4.5.
9-minute miles?
No, we're talking about probably about 15 minutes.
Oh, that's a brisk walk, Hugh. I mean,
Well, listen, Joe, everybody ain't 132
That is not a
pounds.
joke.
well, that's
That's not a
true.
run.
That's true. All right.
It's more like a stop-and-go type situation.
And he's not 132 pounds either.
Today is going to be a great day. All right, as you can hear, John Ritchie joining us our first hour. Rhea Hughes, of course, Elliott at the Surfside Free Agency desk. All right, let's start this thing off, everyone, at 215-592-9494. Ritchie, it's been a very active few days for the Eagles here, with last night as kind of the exclamation point, with CJ GJ coming back. John, what did you think of how he's done so far in total, but then the last one last night, bringing back CJ GJ?
Well, I don't feel like CJ GJ is the exclamation point. Saquon is the exclamation point for me. I love the run game, everything that it brings with it. We are so much better as a team because of that. On both sides of the football, by the way, because we're going to run the heck out of the ball, run it till it's flat, hand it off 25 times a game. But CJ GJ is awesome, too. I love CJ GJ because he wants to hit people, and he plays like he's mad at you, and that's what
He's
we
always
need
mad.
more of. Yeah,
Which I like.
We didn't have enough of that last season. We didn't have enough attitude and aggression, and that's part of the problem. He will help fix it. I'm excited for the youth infusion on this defense that we don't even know what it looks like yet, because it feels like by lack of addition of linebacker through this free agency
They're going to go
period,
young.
They're going young at
Thundercats.
linebacker. I'm excited about the possibility of going where we have not gone before, which would be early draft of a linebacker, like one of those Fred Warner types.
John is such a dreamer when it comes to that,
Sort
Hugh.
So
We
is
are,
Hugh.
can't we?
They imagine the young players are all going to be
Young
great.
Thundercats just come in and play.
Rhea, what do you think so far? CJ GJ, the last one by Howie, but very active so far.
Yeah, I'm happy that they're, because you know what's so funny? I keep looking I'm really happy about the Saquon Barkley, just because of everything he can provide for the Eagles. Because this offense, the most disappointing thing to me about last year was, I knew the defense was going to struggle because they had no players in the back end. They didn't have talent. Mm-hmm. They had it on the front end. But the offense not scoring points, the offense being as dreadful as it was, that was painful to watch. I expect it'll be different now, with what Saquon could give you, because let me tell you something. Jalen is not going to get away with not hitting Saquon Barkley underneath if he's wide open, because Saquon will tell him. Be like, dude, because how many times did he miss Kenny Gainwell last year, DeAndre Swift? So I'm happy about that. I like the CJ GJ thing just because of exactly what John said. I like that he plays angry. We were joking around earlier with Elliott, because I know Elliott's not a fan. I said, I believe the last hit delivered by a member of the Eagles secondary came in the Super Bowl by CJ. Was it Pacheco? Was it Pacheco?
It
or
was,
it,
yeah. I didn't see one all last year. I didn't see one all
Not a
last
single
year.
one. So
Nobody wanted to tackle anybody.
No.
And they
Yeah.
made it clear. Like, this is the thing that bothered
Business
me.
decisions, as you like to say, Hugh.
It was made clear by certain individuals. I don't need to say their names. You heard what he said. Like, they didn't want to do that because they said they didn't want to, they wanted to be able to play with their kids and stuff like that. So in order for us to be better, you saw it. You saw it in the Super Bowl. You saw the way that the teams in the playoffs played. You have to be able. The corners have to come up and run support. They have to help out.
Elliot, what do you think so far? As Howie has done, I mean, it's Howie season, which we call it every year.
Always,
but
yeah.
this has really felt like a Howie season. He's added a lot. He has moved a lot, and there's still more to come. I mean, we could see some trades today. We could see more big names in and out. So far, with the last one being CJ, your thoughts, big picture thoughts on Howie so far?
So I think you'd have to give him close to an A so far. Look, there is more work to be done, but the good news is they still have a ton of resources to get that work done. I think after the 5 signings that they've made so far, they still have over $30 million in salary cap space. They still have a ton of draft picks to work with if they want to make a trade. So I think the holes that they still have, he'll be able to address. But the Saquon signing, I think there might not be another free agent sign that's going to impact his team more than Saquon will next year. He's going to touch the ball 20 to 25 times a game. I think he's going to help the pass game. He's obviously going to help the run game. And where he'll really help that I think people are overlooking, Rhea touched on it though, like the blitz. The main issue with this offense last year was how they handled the blitz. Both the players on the field and obviously the coaches hold blame. Saquon helps you with that. I think the Bryce Huff signing is a good signing. I don't think it's a great signing. I don't know if he can be a top 5 edge rusher, but he is a good player that has shown he can get after the quarterback. The Chauncey signing, to me, I need to see what else happens. I think we're all overrating Chauncey. He is a good player. I don't know if he's a great player, and he's a player that's flawed. So they have to go and do more. But overall, I think it's an A so far.
So, look, I agree. I think we all realize Saquon is a very, very talented player. But I'm most excited for what they've done on defense because they couldn't stop the pass last year. They just couldn't stop the pass. And now they get an extra pass rusher with Bryce Huff, who I think is going to be really good, and Chauncey. But here's the big question. And, look, we all like what they've done so far to some degree. Have they done enough so far to where you're back to calling them a Super Bowl contender? And for me, I'm not quite there yet. They need to do more. Because, look, here's what I'm getting at, John. When last season began, we all had them as a Super Bowl contender again, right? And then at some point along the year, we stopped believing that. Maybe it was November, December, January. It hit us.
That sounds about right.
Yeah, it hit us all at a different moment, but it all hit us. John, based on what they've done so far, are you back? Are the Eagles right now again for you a Super Bowl contender? I still need to see more.
Yeah, I need to fill in a couple blanks, and they look, and one is linebacker shaped, and there's a couple of them, and one is cornerback shaped, and there might be a couple of those too.
It's almost like a crime scene where you draw like the outline.
Yes.
Yeah.
That looks like a linebacker.
Absolutely. Chalk outline of a Mike. That's what I see when I look at this team. I can't say, I don't know. I don't know yet. With the chalk Mike, I don't know what this team looks like. Defensively, that's a big question mark. Offensively, I know will be good, and that's with the offensive line taking a step back. There's no doubt the offensive line takes a step back because you don't have the greatest center to ever play here calling every play. He called every play. He made sure guys knew what to do, where to go every play. We no longer have that luxury. But the offense will be outstanding because it is stacked. I don't know if the defense is stacked yet. In the middle, right in the middle. Now, adding CJ, that helps. Mm-hmm. We still got a lot to add in the middle of the field, and I'm not convinced that our cornerback situation is where it needs to be. We need guys who can cover. But, Hugh, maybe you have a better idea on this one than I do.
Defense is not a necessity.
Here we go.
It's a luxury.
Here we go.
I agree with you.
Amen.
But
It's a
Here
luxury.
we go again.
Are we asking these cornerbacks under Vic Fangio to cover differently than we did last year? Because last year, Bradbury wasn't able to cut it. Can he cut it if we go soft zone a lot more and we help him out with a good safety a lot more often?
You know what? I keep hearing that about the safety and the safety helping out the corners and everything like this. But this is the one thing that stuck out to me when I watch football. You could probably help me out with this. That the corners played a lot more press on San Fran, Baltimore, and I'm just going by the teams that I watched. Kansas City. I saw corners come up and like receivers would catch the football, but there would not be a whole lot of run after the catch because they were playing so tight on them.
Eagles have never done that.
That they were able to tackle people real.
Yeah.
And just listen, you could say I'm being a hater or whatever it is, but when I watch film, I saw a lot of people grasping for people, like playing off and then grasping for people and not making tackles. And to answer your question the long way, in Vic Fangio's defense, I don't see these two corners being asked to do something that they didn't do readily last year. I don't see them doing that. So to me, you have to get two corners that are going to come in here and buy into what you're selling. Because if you're not used to tackling or you're not used to getting your uniform dirty, I don't see as an older player that you're going to come in and do that because you're doing it for the sake of the team. You know what I mean? I just don't see that happening. So, you know, when you talk about Darius Slay and Bradbury, I don't see those two guys being able to do what's going to be asked of them in this new defense that we're going to
Well,
run.
if they don't, then they're not going to play. I mean, that'll be the bottom line. Hugh, are you back? Are you ready to say
Yes.
after the – all right, here it is. So the Eagles right now,
Yes.
in your mind, are a Super Bowl contender
Yes.
again?
Yes. Luxury, not a necessity, Joe. Defensively.
I don't know if you guys know, I'm the defensive player on
It's
this
a
show.
luxury
Hugh
not-
doesn't even care
and-
about – I don't
and
know what
listen.
happened to this guy. He used to be a defensive star. Now he doesn't care about defense.
I watched for the last 2 seasons how defenses were thrown out there, Kansas City Chiefs, and they had to grow on the fly. And this year was a little bit different because the Kansas City Chiefs defense was like the tip
they
of the
did.
scale.
I was
They were-
really good
They were
this
really
year.
good
Yeah.
this year.
But last year, Rhea,
Yep.
they talked about the corners being suspect and
Yeah.
all this other stuff for the Kansas City Chiefs. And even, like, and it flipped, it kind of
Not
flipped a little
suspect.
bit.
Young.
Young. Yeah, they
Okay,
were young.
That's
Here,
a
they're
better word.
suspect. We got suspect.
Yeah, I
corners.
forgot where I was at for a minute. You're right. They were young. But you know what the funny thing about the Kansas City Chiefs and using them as like the model is because their receiver core was horrendous. Is that
Oh
safe
my-
to say?
Yes.
That's
Yeah.
a
Oh, it
good
was
word to
bad.
use. But as the season progressed and they got closer to the playoffs, they started to make key plays in key moments.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what you have to have. Like, the bottom line is you have to have patience. And I know my partner over here, he doesn't want the
No.
young cats to play. He
Well, I
wants
mean,
to go out
I
and
want
get
good
veteran
players.
Didn't
guys.
Howie
Those
Roseman?
young
Yeah.
cornerbacks in Kansas City turned out to be
Yeah.
incredible
Pretty good.
players.
Yeah.
Were.
I mean, like
Snead and McDuffie, yeah. Tremendous.
Yes, they earned every. They're about to earn a lot more than.
Yeah, but they went through trial by fire. Now,
Yes.
I know it's one of those things in the NFL that is not done anymore. Only person that gets trial by fire is the quarterback. And if you don't cut the mustard in your first year, Bryce Young, then people are labeling you as a bust. But at other positions, I feel that we can do that. Keely Ringo is a guy that I look at in a
I like
small
Keely.
sampling size, Rhea. I liked his physicality.
Yes, so do
now,
I.
he made some mistakes.
Yes.
But you have to be able to live with those mistakes. And
Well,
the reason-
Howie said that he wants the young. Didn't he say at
He
the
did. He
combine
did.
he wants to start? He was probably like side-eyeing the Kansas City Chiefs. Like they gave their guys. How many games they lose during the regular season? 5?
I might have been 6.
5 or 6? I
It
mean,
might have been 7. I can't remember if they won. They didn't
Yeah, but
play
they
their
came-
starters the last game, but
Yeah.
they
But
only
they-
won.
yeah.
It was like they were like 10-6 Rhea before the last week.
best. But the minute they hit the playoffs,
Yep.
there wasn't a better team.
Yeah, and you
Yeah.
have to have those. You have to teach.
Yeah.
Like the one lost art in football, especially at this level, is the teaching aspect. It still blows my mind every time that I think of Kevin Byard going into a defensive team meeting. Real.
Oh, that was
And
amazing.
could you imagine that dog hunting when Jim Johnson was here and I said, "Hey Jim,"
Yeah.
or Tommy Brazier, "Hey, this week I'm gonna do the install."
If
Man,
you-
if you don't get your ass out of my office talking crazy to me like that,
Tommy
that
Brazier
blew
would
my
have
mind.
included a lot of other language in that.
Yeah, it was like
Yeah.
some very, very colorful language. But no,
Well, and that's
I
Vic
couldn't believe
Fangio
that.
now. Vic Fangio is not going to tolerate that nonsense.
Oh, that's true. So, Rhea, where are you at after the first wave here for AC? Are the Eagles back to being a true Super Bowl contender again?
I don't know what Jalen Hurts I'm getting next year, so I don't know. The answer is
That's
right
fair.
now, no.
Well, I'm sorry not to interject, but I thought it was super interesting that we talked about this for 15 minutes now, and if the answer to if they're Super Bowl contenders or not, if your answer isn't yes because they have Jalen, then what are we doing here? Like he's a top 5 paid player at his position,
But he didn't
He's
play like that last year.
But I'm saying he's supposed to be like if you ask the Chiefs, the Ravens, the Bills, honestly maybe even the Texans. I think the first thing out of a lot of people's mouths would be, well, they have Mahomes, they have Josh Allen, they have Lamar, they have Stroud now.
So, is it telling that none of us said that?
Yeah, I think until Rhea brought it up, like a lot of the conversation was, well, what about the corners or the linebackers? Jalen is paid so that those positions aren't supposed to matter as much. Look at Mahomes and what he has around him. He has a great defense for sure, but they're not talking about who the number 3 receiver is there.
Well,
that the fact
you
that
said the defense matters a lot less than
no,
the
agreed, but
offense, and-
like the answer to
Getting
this
a lot
question.
of sass from that kitty table, though. Getting a lot of sass.
The answer to this question should have been simple. If you believe in Jalen, are they Super Bowl
I
contenders?
believe in
Yes,
Jalen.
because they have Jalen.
I
That's
believe
it.
in Jalen. I do think it complicates it. The defense complicates things.
Sure.
I can't say automatically without the middle of the defense being filled out a little bit more, that I'm confident we can get there. But
what other
pressed,
quarterback do we say this with? That's like a top 5 guy.
But
when you put it that way,
but maybe he's not a top 5 guy.
Well, then they're not a contender.
I believe
he's a top 5 guy.
But I disagree. So
I believe that he is a top 5 guy.
All right, we've seen
he didn't play that way this
didn't.
last
No.
season.
We've seen
He will play better.
3 years of Hurts as a starter, right? 3 years. The first year, whatever you think he was, the 20th best quarterback, 18th, like
Yeah,
that's the first
a good year, but
a good.
yeah.
2022, he was a top 5 guy. He played like that.
Correct.
And then last year, he fell back to whatever number you want to say, 10, 12, whatever.
You know what it was, Joe? It's that play it's that safety in the end zone in that Tampa game. That showed me
That
a guy
lack of effort.
Yeah, who just regressed
Yes.
to a level that I didn't think was capable for him.
I also think the common denominator is when they have
made a
a really
mistake.
when they have
It was
a
a
really
bad
good
play.
when they have a really good team
No, I was
around
talking
him
about
though,
when he let the tackle.
they can win.
When he didn't block.
Yeah, well, that was
a
bad.
bad look.
The whole thing was bad. But if they have a lot around him, I think you can win even if he's not.
Well, they had
top 5.
they had a lot around him last year.
Did they on defense? That defense.
talking about
was-
offense.
I know,
Offense.
but as a team.
And for what it's worth, the defense up until they went to Patricia was not that bad.
It wasn't brutal.
And in the
Yeah.
playoffs, I think you could argue the defense outplayed the offense. They were both bad,
They
but the
played
defense,
better.
the defense kept them in that game
Yeah.
until
It was
Jalen
like
had the
16
safety.
something
They did.
in the
Yeah,
third
they did.
quarter,
Yeah,
right?
And
and then
they
it
like-
fell apart for
Yeah.
sure.
It
But
ain't like Tampa was world beaters either, though.
I mean,
No,
going
they were not.
Going into last season, there was discussions about the Eagles having the best roster in the NFL.
Yeah.
So
But on defense, it was obvious at some point it wasn't good enough. It just wasn't.
because of coaching, yeah.
Yeah, well, or because
And
talent.
players as well, but
Yeah.
the coaching was not good.
I mean, how many starters from the defense last year are going to be back this year? I mean, it's telling. They're
Yeah.
moving a lot of these guys out. So I think that's telling. Look, I just think they have more work to do here, Hugh. If they're going to win the Super Bowl next year, this is a good start. And I like CJ, GJ. Obviously, Barkley's a good player. Hopefully, he stays healthy. They got better the last couple days. But they got more work to do, Hugh. Howie's season it needs to continue here.
Can we be honest for a minute, though?
Yeah, go ahead.
When we talked about this roster last year being the best roster in the NFL, we weren't talking about the defense. We were talking about those offensive
Correct.
weapons.
And look what happened,
that-
though. They
but-
didn't
but
win.
my point is this. When we talk about best teams in the NFL, when I say San Francisco 49ers, I mean, me and John, most of us know who the defense is, but we're talking about that offense. We're talking about Christian McCaffrey, and we're talking about the quarterback, and we're talking about Deebo Samuel.
Sure.
That's the same thing we did here. When everybody got excited yesterday and we moved the Super Bowl odds, it's because we look at this team now like they can score points. Like, I know Jalen had a bad year, and there is a lot of speculation about what he is. He has to bounce back. You know how this league works,
Has
Joe.
to. Has
If
to.
he has another down year with all of these weapons around him, they are going to move on
Yeah,
from
he's
Jalen
gone.
Hurts.
Yep, he's gone.
They're moving on. Like, that's the bottom line. You have to believe in Jalen Hurts because if he doesn't get it done this year, this is it. And
Well-
then Jalen Hurts is going to go to the wayside
Yep.
like the rest of the quarterbacks that got a ton of money. and Carson Wentz, and he's going to be gone. And we're going to be talking about getting another quarterback in here.